This is the Tree of Life, Season 28, Chapter 1. In this episode, we will be talking about tautological strings as artifacts of sublimation. In the last episode, we talked about how hierarchical priority manifests as strings of central persons within the descending infinite recursive paths. The idea was that the priority, which establishes the internal flow of consciousness from vessel to vessel in reverse substitution, manifests in sequential substitution as a string of central persons in the descending paths. To reiterate, reverse substitution is characterized by the lower in priority becoming the incoming consciousness acting out the impulse of the outgoing consciousness. When there is a larger hierarchy than two people, this permits the flowing of the outgoing consciousness into the next highest in priority, and so on and so forth. As part of this process, we see that hierarchical priority determines the flowing of consciousness from vessel to vessel. In tautological priority, the leader becomes the incoming consciousness for the next in line, and so on and so forth. In sequential substitution, that is, when negation follows acquiescence in reverse substitution, we see a sequential substitution event, where infinite recursion occurs. In reverse substitution, we see a digital structure describing impulse, or set 1, affirmation of impulse 1 and negation of not 1, become an analog structure with impulse 1 and impulse 2. This analog structure becomes a second digital structure through infinite recursion, such that impulse 1 becomes not 2. Now, what we stated in the last episode is that the priority represented by hierarchy in reverse substitution determines the string of central persons in infinite recursion. This means, for example, that the analog structure will form around a string of central persons reflecting the hierarchy of priority. Now, it is also true that priority is established within a structure by preferential expectation matching. This means that the analog structure will actually establish three individuals within that section of the hierarchy. For analog structure A, B, C, centered around central person A, B, will have impulse 1 affirmed and impulse 2 negated. Person C, the outgoing consciousness in reverse substitution, will have impulse 2 affirmed and impulse 1 negated. In the next descending path, person B will be the central person who is hierarchically below person A in reverse substitution. Since these hierarchies are subject to particular domains, the hierarchical string segments central persons into particular domains. On the other hand, artifacts of sublimation are tautological strings characterized by tautological priority. Rather than hierarchical priority being reflected in the string of central persons, tautological priority centers each analog structure around a common central person. During the degeneration, after verbalization of some artifact, consensus shifts see filtering by an ideological divide. This means that the tension is preserved between groups. This causes the consensus shift. After degeneration, filtering is completed by a personal divide. That is, the tension is preserved between the central person and the outgoing consciousness in reverse substitution. The dialectical degeneration, under tautological priority, when there is two steps from consensus, is characterized by internal steps of first generalization, and then ideological filtering. In infinite recursion after degeneration, these two steps are modified to generalization and personalization by some common central person. Prior to these two steps, there will be a sequence of dialectical exchanges, which appears as a dialogue centered around some common central person. That's the end of the podcast for today.